Hey, I'm Ryan from First Edition Shrubs and Trees, and welcome to Steal the Look. I'm going to pop in as you watch these fantastic garden tours from our friends at Garden Gate magazine to share design ideas, plant recommendations, regional tips, and so much more, all so that you can walk away knowing how to steal the look. Today, we'll be touring Jim and Carole Poole's charming southern backyard in Zone 7, Georgia. Let's go!
Hey everyone, I'm here in historic Roswell, Georgia this morning, and I'm with Jim and Carole Poole, who are Garden Gate's 2022 Reader Garden Award winners. And I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, welcome to Bentgrass Garden.
Oh, thanks. So this beautiful little arbor here, you designed that yourself, right, Jim?
Yes, I did. I had a great craftsman that did a wonderful job of fabricating it.
And then this new dawn rose climbs over it. It's a beautiful entrance to the garden. Should we go in and, I can't wait to go in and get a tour.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Now, there's just something about a rose-covered arbor that makes an unforgettable garden entrance. To do this in your yard, one of my favorites is a climbing rose called Above and Beyond. And planting that on your arbor, it's super fast growing, so it's gonna fill in quickly, has incredible flower power, especially early in the season, great fragrance. And to get it started, just start weaving it through naturally and it's gonna start filling in. It's incredibly cold hardy and does well all the way down through Zone 7 as well.
Oh, this is so pretty back here. Thank you so much for this tour.
We're glad you came.
Oh, it's so nice. So how long have you been here?
We moved here in 2012. We downsized, we were older, and we were getting ready to get out. We had a much bigger house. It had a master on the main, but it was just too big to maintain, so we wanted something that was totally no steps, a smaller house.
Yeah.
And this is a historic area of Roswell, so we were able to, in 2012, we changed.
Nice. And the yard was?
Oh, the yard was a mess. The whole house was a little bit of a mess, but the yard was particularly a mess. There was a giant pine tree right here, giant, 3 or 4 feet in diameter, that we had to take down. Numerous other miscellaneous trees. The only thing that was really here that's here now is the 4 dogwoods and that big pink camellia on the end of the house right there.
Okay.
Everything else has been a process.
So you have a few anchor plants left from the original.
Yeah, we do.
Right.
Those, they were, we used them in the locations they were.
Kristen mentions anchor plants, and for those that don't know what that means, anchor plants are usually taller or larger plants that you can build your design around. So when I'm designing a new garden, I start with my anchor or a focal point plant and fill in from there. Chapel View Japanese cedar are great anchor plants for warm climates, and if you're in a cooler climate like me, try something like Standing Ovation serviceberry.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so how did you decide what to do with it?
Well, being a builder and working with landscape architects for a long time, I've always had a strong interest in the design process. I always spent more money on landscaping than most builders because I just love it. We have an apartment developer here in Atlanta that made a fortune out of having apartment communities that were just lush with landscaping. People didn't do it themselves, but they loved to live in that environment. And I've always loved that environment and loved the curb appeal that goes along with that.
Right. So who did your design work here?
Actually, me.
Nice.
with my input from the conversing with all these landscape architects over the years and designing houses. And
well, it's a very distinct, it feels southern to me. It feels, of course the plants are what do well here. That makes sense to me.
Plants are a way to create that sense of place. So when you're picking plants for your landscape, really celebrate where you are by planting things that are native to your space. In this garden, in a Zone 7 Georgia space, things like crepe myrtle and gardenia and camellia really make it feel like that southeastern garden.
And you two have a kind of a partnership, a unique partnership in your gardening, I think. Is that right?
Our partnership is really unique.
Yeah. So Jim, you're more the plant person and the gardener,
Yeah.
mostly. Is that right?
Yes.
And Carole, what's your role here?
Well, I help with the design. He rarely plants anything without my input, as to, you know, a little to the left or whatever. But we've been together 52 years, so we kind of work as a team.
Right.
We have to.
With everything.
And it's really just morphed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We didn't have a beginning, this is how everything's going to fit. You know, because one year we would do the pathway, the next year we did the terrace, then we did the panels, everything just kind of added as we're kind of looking at something else here. I think Jim came up with, I didn't know about recently.
Oh.
So you don't
A
know
new
what's going to be
project.
here next. Before long it'll just be a grass walkway between all the islands.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when you love to garden, it's you can't stop.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You want some of
Every
everything.
time you go to somebody else's garden and you see something that you like, you say, hey, we can do that too.
Ooh,
you
I
know?
think I have an idea now. That's right.
Clearly, Jim and Carole's way of designing as they go has paid off, and that's something you can do at home too, especially if you've got a really good foundation. And remember, you don't have to tackle every area of your garden in a year. Spreading it out gives you more time to learn what you like and understand what your space needs from you.
Carole, you're an artist, right?
Right. I'm a watercolor artist. I do commission work. And right now I'm mostly doing home portraits for people. But I really want to get more into the flowers and, you know, get my inspiration from the garden and take it on into the studio. And
There's a lot here to work with.
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
That's great. So you have these really tidy, beautiful curving borders throughout all of these beds. And I see they're really sharply cut. I love that. And the pine straw is along the edge here. It just frames everything so beautifully.
Thank you. That's my thing. I like to throw it down and then blow it back in.
Oh, yeah?
You know, the little turn under. I've gotten okay at it. I'm not a pro.
I love her hack of using the leaf blower to keep those clean lines along the border. The pine straw is a great ground cover mulch to keep those weeds down, and if you're in a part of the country that doesn't have pine straw mulch readily available, things like wood chip mulch is a great alternative.
And then I see you have a lot of roses and hydrangeas here.
Yeah.
What's the secret to growing roses here in Georgia?
Well, to be honest with you, we don't have the hybrid tea, difficult to maintain type.
Right.
Now, there are shrub roses that look like hybrid tea roses, but are really disease resistant and stand up to the heat and the cold, so you don't have to put so much work into keeping your roses healthy. With the new roses on the market, you don't have to worry about the difficulties gardening with roses like you may be used to. Roses like those from our friends at Easy Elegance are exactly how they sound. Easy to grow and beautiful all season long. For a warm climate rose gardener, you can't go wrong with cashmere rose. This red rose is hardy all the way through zone 9, and the disease-resistant leaves mean you can count on green, glossy foliage all season long, and cashmere is one of the most picturesque roses out there.
Yeah.
That's good. And well, let's keep walking and take a look at some of these other things. So what are some of your favorite times of year here in your garden?
The main design of this whole garden is to try to have something blooming almost year round.
Oh,
like
right.
we start off in the spring with forsythia.
Looking for a forsythia to use in your space? Spring Fling Forsythia is new to First Editions for 2023 and is sure to brighten up your spring garden with those yellow flowers.
And even before that, we have the camellias that bloom late winter and sasanquas. Then we have the forsythia back here, and we have some spirea back there. And then the dogwoods come in. And this whole bank over here is 3 different kinds of azaleas. We got the first blooming coral bell pinks, and then those are in the Caroon variety, and then in the larger varieties we have the pink ruffle that comes in a little bit later, and then the ones that we love the most of all are the George Tabors, and we've got more of those than anything. We got 2 or 3 over here, a couple up there, about 10 out by the street out there.
Oh, wow.
And we've got a little bed of George Tabors and white ones over here that are just magnificent. And of course the dogwoods, and then we have tulips popping up out of the pots. That's all during the springtime.
Having a good mix of spring blooming plants in your yard is a great way to ensure your garden is interesting for all seasons. Jim and Carole have some pretty amazing spring bloomers in their warm climate garden, and if you want to replicate that for those of you in a cool climate, I recommend planting Electric Light's double pink or red azalea. These cold hardy azaleas are absolutely covered in blooms in spring and are just the pop of color you need after a long winter.
And then, you have a lot of other things that come in and do their thing in the spring, like the jasmine, and the roses come in and they start getting their attention in April and May. And they're the big show for April and May. And Carole's got a big iris garden over there that they stick their heads up and say they want a little attention somewhere along the way too. And we have daffodils, and then we get through all that, and the gardenias start coming in, and the roses again, and then of course all the perennials start popping up.
Right.
And the big thing we got this year is for perennials is we did about 20 new little dahlias, and we're starting to love those. And one of my favorites, of course, Carole can't quite get on board with this, is the canna lilies. And they are so dependable though, and they stand up high and proud.
And they're hardy here.
And they're hardy.
So they'll come back, both the dahlias and the cannas are hardy and will come back all the time. So we just need to do a little bit more convincing here, right?
Yeah. She loves her irises and her hydrangeas.
Yeah. And we didn't mention the hydrangeas.
Yeah, I forgot y'all.
That's the show now, supposed to be. We didn't get a big batch this year.
Yeah.
Because
we had 2
spring,
freezes.
Yeah,
2 freezes. But these are pretty hardy, and then this is an older hydrangea that we don't know how old it is. We moved it from a house he was tearing down, and we just wanted to save it and brought it over here, and
it's a nice one.
We think it's 30, maybe 40 years old.
Oh, wow.
And you said you have the house.
I am obsessed with planting big leaf hydrangeas in a row. It forms a jaw-dropping hedge, just like Jim and Carole have in their garden. To do this at home, plant a couple of the original endless summer hydrangeas in a row, spacing them roughly 4 feet apart. Endless summer hydrangeas bloom on old growth and new wood, so you'll enjoy a hedge full of blooms all season long.
And you have around 20 varieties or 20 different plants.
Yes, of hydrangeas.
A lot of different varieties, right? Both the big leaf with the big flowers like this, and then it looks like you have the panicle hydrangea.
Yes.
Panicle hydrangeas feature those characteristic cone-shaped flowers and provide some amazing interest to the garden in summer and fall. One of my absolute favorites, especially for a larger hedge, is berry white panicle hydrangea. The blooms start off a bright white, gradually aging to pink, and then eventually a deep wine red when those cool fall temperatures hit, especially in cooler climates. If you need something a little bit smaller, try something like Little Hottie panicle hydrangea.
And that too. And then tucked along the front here, I see you have some New Guinea impatiens.
Yes.
They're actually sun patients, which is
is
really
New Guinea.
big. Yeah, it is the New Guinea. They're bigger. They get bigger. They're about halfway there now with size.
So they'll just
we switch out our colors.
halfway there. So they'll be wow.
Well, they
fall.
get wide too. They'll touch each other eventually.
Wow. So this whole border will just be thick with the patients.
Yeah.
And they
That's
keep
beautiful.
doing that all the way until we get a good freeze.
Okay, yeah, that's really reliable then. Nice. That's good.
I love how Jim and Carole use these impatiens to create a colorful border to their garden. And if impatiens are an annual for where you are, you can plant a shrub like Sundrop spirea to get the same effect in your garden where it will come back year after year.
How do you, what are some of the challenges that you face here gardening? Heat, we're here in the middle of a heat wave right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so regular water.
Yeah. Yeah. We have an irrigation system that takes care of most of it, because then some of the individual pots and bed areas and special plants, we have to hand water them. And Carole's a great little pruner. She's a clipper.
Oh, right.
She's got 2 or 3 little tools that can
I
work
can
on
see
the
a
boxwoods
leaf
and stuff.
a mile away.
Yeah. Yeah.
on my little
You have so many pretty
boxwoods.
Yes, your boxwoods are really pretty.
I think they add a nice touch.
And this little vignette right here, it's nice to sit on, I'm guessing.
Yes.
But also it just looks so pretty from the patio up by the house.
I think I was telling you earlier that we had our little 50th wedding anniversary ceremony right there on that little terrace.
That's perfect.
Coming in from the arbor, and it worked out beautifully.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep looking at things.
Okay.
These screens are really unusual and pretty. I just like that. So is this jasmine? growing on the screens?
Yes, it's Carolina jasmine. It's most years it's full of yellow, sometimes better than others.
And you designed and built these, or had these screens built for this spot too, right?
Yeah, at the same time, in the same process as doing the arbor.
I like the repetition of the white and lattice with the fence around the yard and the arbor and the screens. It's all really, and the birdhouses.
Yeah.
Screens like these are a great way to add height and dimension to the landscape. Pick a favorite climbing plant like Autumn Revolution Bittersweet with those oh so gorgeous orange berries to get some height and some interest added to your garden. Autumn Revolution is self-fruiting, so you don't have to plant anything with it to get those beautiful berries. And it's an American bittersweet, so it's not invasive.
All white too. And the other thing I noticed that you had tucked in behind here is a little bit of a workspace.
Yes.
That's so smart.
That's Carole's little potting area.
Yeah, a little
Work
potting
area,
path.
creative area. Yeah.
It's just so. I mean, it's just so tucked away. You can't see. I had no idea it was there until I walked around behind it.
I really do refer to it as a rock garden. Did you see my rock flowers?
Yeah, very cool. I like that in the path.
I get off at a tangent sometimes.
that big backdrop there is huge. Burford hollies.
Those are beautiful.
It's difficult to trim, but we love the privacy that we get with the neighbor because of it.
How often do you prune them?
I have to get somebody on a 10-foot ladder to do it.
Once a year or?
Every 2 or 3 years.
Every couple of years.
It's pretty expensive.
Yeah, wow.
I think we're going to need a crane next time.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
Did you planted them?
No,
Actually,
we did not.
No, we did not plant those either.
So they were here,
I just think about that as always being a part.
Right, yeah.
When we first moved here, though, you could see that other house, and we did encourage them to grow.
Planting something tall and wide at the border of the landscape is a fantastic way to add privacy to your space without needing a fence. Plant crepe myrtles like Lunar Magic or Purple Magic to add privacy and interest to your space.
So you sort of rejuvenated
We love
them.
all of our neighbors, but we do things in the backyard.
That's right. It's nice
have parties, whatever.
Yeah,
so,
it's just nice to have privacy.
Yeah,
If
it's like a little wall.
Right, that's nice. And I like that the screens aren't solid. I mean, it's a great frame for the container in the middle, and it's just a really pretty design element to the garden.
Sometimes these drift roses here just love to make their show, at least twice a year. It's just a solid red across there.
Pretty. That's nice. Yeah, it just something's different. I need to come back every month and see something different.
You're invited.
Yeah.
Thank you. So tell me about this border. It's got a lot of color in it.
Yes, it does. It has anything that we want to put in there, actually. This has been our little trash garden, you know. If we buy something and it doesn't work down there, it goes in here. And so over the years, it's sort of progressed. And then Jim anchored it with his beloved canna lilies, and it sort of took off. And now we're looking toward pollinating garden, you know. We've got little water places for the bees, and we've got a little bee house, and we'll be seeing what comes up.
Lots of flowers in this bed.
It is so important to keep pollinators in mind when designing your garden, especially for insects like your native bees. If you're in a warm climate like Jim and Carole, plants like chase tree, hypericum, and butterfly bush act like magnets for pollinators and are great in these pollinator gardens. If you're curious about what might be native to your space, contact your local horticultural extension office at your local university.
And what a charming container back here, a hay rack on the wall.
Thank you.
Did you say that didn't all come together?
No, it's 3 separate pieces. First we put that square up, and then the next year I added that little finial on the top, and then this year I added the little basket at the bottom that sits on legs.
That's really charming. I like that. I like all the containers you have around the garden in general.
Well, thank
you have a lot of really pretty mixed plantings and a mix of annuals and shrubs and all kinds of things in your pots. Do you keep them going year round?
Yes and no. We do. Some of our pots, like the ones up front, have the bent grass, boxwoods in the center of it to kind of anchor it. It stays there year round.
Another great anchor plant for containers is double mint gardenia.
We usually plant our pansies in the fall, and pansies winter over here very well.
Nice, yeah.
So they come out real strong. And the Dusty Miller. They stay in the pots.
And snapdragons?
A few.
Yeah, they do.
So those are sort of your winter annuals.
Yeah.
And then So, you were telling me a story about maybe that you did some bulbs in containers, Jim?
Yes, as a surprise for her, I embellished the containers this last year with 9 tulip bulbs in each of the big containers. And when they came up in the spring, she was very surprised.
And
Pleasantly surprised because they were gorgeous. They were the show of the whole garden. And we've got other tulips in here,
they'll come up too.
and down there around the white crepe myrtle that come up annually. We have better success with the tulips coming back up than we do the daffodils. Even though we got a whole bunch of daffodils out front, they just want to be divided and manicured a little bit. But the tulips, I love tulips. They come and they're so colorful, so beautiful in the color.
Yeah, these right here are pink.
I'm surprised to hear that, because you usually think of tulips as not returning very
Yes,
well,
we're
right.
surprised
especially in the
too.
south.
Yes.
We're
So
surprised too.
you have just the right spot.
I guess they like this environment.
They
yeah.
must, yeah.
Now, if you don't have the luck like Jim and Carole, where their tulips are coming back every year, you could still fill that space with like a biennial perennial that's gonna flower every other year so that you can keep that space filled with color and texture.
Well, you also have this beautiful patio up here. I want to go up here and take a look at that too.
Okay.
This is such a cozy, comfortable patio. You must use it just all the time.
All the time. This is the first place I come every day.
And so it's good both evening and morning. And you have this shade covering, so even most of the day, I bet you can use it.
We can be out here most of the day. He built that, had it designed. He designed it. And each year we say we should make it a little bigger, but it's perfect.
We did a couple years ago.
We did add that out there. We're trying to enlarge as we go.
Yeah, we have cookouts. One of our sons is a great griller, so he comes over and we sit and have a cocktail while he grills for us. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't complain about that.
Yeah,
That
right,
sounds pretty good. That's great. And it's so comfortable. I mean, all the pillows and the furnishings, it's just really great.
Jim and Carole's patio is a fabulous place for outdoor entertaining, and spaces like this are ideal for showing off what's blooming in your garden. Either plant some decorative pots with some flowering shrubs, or take a trip around the yard and gather some cut flowers of what's blooming to create a beautiful cut flower arrangement straight from your garden.
And the views, oh my gosh. I can just imagine just curling up on the couch with Pearl and enjoying, the sound of the fountain over here. And there's so many birds flying around. Do you watch birds a lot here?
Yes, we do. He feeds the birds. They
I
depend
take care of
on
the
him.
birds. So there's a little woodpecker over there right now
Oh,
going
yeah,
after the
look
soot.
at it. Yeah,
And then there's their bird feeder hanging off the limb. And down there we have a bird feeder amongst all the bird houses. The squirrels think that's theirs.
They do.
And then we have a little trouble keeping them away from this one, but they do okay.
Yeah, we'd rather them be on that one down there, so we kind of put that down there
for the squirrels
rather
to
than
stay.
hanging up here on the little
I mean,
delicate one.
Right, that makes sense. You don't want them to knock something else down.
They will.
Yeah. And you have some houses too.
Yeah, we have
Lots
about
of-
9 bird houses down there,
Okay.
and they're not always all occupied, but there are several, with the seasons, and some of them they wait in line for their turn. Same with this. It's so cute. They'll come to the fountain, and if there's 2 there, one will wait up there on the limb for his turn, and then so we've really enjoyed that fountain.
Constant entertainment.
Yeah. All right.
And you can use it because of the climate here in Georgia. You can use it.
Almost year round.
Yeah, almost. We drain it in December, so January when we get our snow, it's dry.
Right.
Well,
the
one
fountain
snow,
is, and
yeah.
the
Our
and the
one snow of the year.
Right. So the patio you use almost
Yeah.
10 or so months of the year.
Yeah, we do.
Nice.
Yes.
That's really great. This has been such a fun tour. I have just loved seeing this perfectly kept garden, and enjoyed meeting you and talking to you. And congratulations on winning the Reader Garden Award this year.
Thank you,
It's been just so fun.
We have just had a ball. Just like I was telling you, or I was telling Jim, that I couldn't wait to see Kristen and Jack in our little garden.
Well, we couldn't wait either.
appreciate you coming.
We were excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And there you have it, friends. Thank you so much for coming along with us. And thanks to Jim and Carole for welcoming us into their charming southern backyard. And to Kristen and the Garden Gate magazine team, thank you for taking us on the tour. I really hope that you enjoyed and can walk away with tons of inspiration and ideas on how you can steal the look for your yard. Make sure to share your gardens with us at First Edition's Shrubs and Trees because I love to see what you create. Happy gardening, and I'll see you next time on Steal the Look.